Okay, so we're doing fractions again. Today, specifically, we are going to discuss the understanding of what a fraction really is. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that with some pictures and kind of understand how we can relate fractions to division and a set of fractions. So let's dive right in. First off, we're going to look at a couple problems, and I just kind of want to explain this very briefly. So if we take the problem 6 divided by 2, we know that as 3, right? But what 6 divided by 2 is really saying is that the division sign is actually just a line, right? And so we could write this like this, right? 6 divided by 2. Or we can write it as 6 over 2, which you would know as a fraction. In this case, this is an improper fraction. So an improper fraction can be written from the original problem, that is 6 divided by 2. All of these mean the same thing. All of these will give us 3. And what this means is that we have 6 parts and we split them up into 2, and how many groups are there? So we have 3, right? So it's a division problem. And the same thing goes with anything that we do. If we have 3 divided by 4, we can write a fraction for that. It's a 3/4. Okay, and that is a valid answer. So taking a division problem that maybe we wouldn't normally be able to do very easily, we might get a decimal for this, we can actually turn this into a fraction. Now, sometimes when we take our division problems and we see the fraction, there might be a number that we can pull out from it. And in this case, we can look at an equivalent fraction. So what's an equivalent fraction of the 5 divided by 15 would be 5 over 15. And an equivalent fraction would be 1/3. Okay, what did I do? Well, I divided the 5 out. I pulled the 5 out of there. And remember, when we deal with fractions, whatever we do to the top, we can do to the bottom. And that's why that's 1/3. So now with this understanding, we're going to explore the idea of and what that means in mathematics. So here we have a problem, and I'm just going to write it down. We've talked about this a little bit, but here we go. 1/3 of 6. Now, one of the easiest ways to really express our math and to understand what we're doing in math is sometimes just to draw a picture. And so we have a whole of 6, right? And we want 1/3 of that. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to start with what it is, right? I'm going to draw 6 little boxes to represent my total, which is right here, right? And then I want 1/3 of that. Well, what is 1/3 of this? Well, I simply need to split it into thirds. So if I split it into thirds, I'm going to split it here and here. And you will notice that this is a third, right? This is a third, and that this is a third, right? So now I have my thirds, and if I'm taking just 1/3 of it, I only need one of these. So in this case, 1/3 of 6 is going to equal, it's going to equal 2. Why is it going to equal 2? Because if we go back to our boxes, how much is 1/3? Well, we have 1 box, 2 box, and 1/3 of it, right? So 1/3 of 6 is 2, right? So now let's take this problem again, right? What if we took 2/3 of 6, right? What happens if we take 2/3 of 6? Well, again, let us draw our boxes. I'll do circles this time. Still the same representation. So here we have 6 circles, and we're dealing with thirds, so I'm going to split them all up into thirds. And now 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. What is 2/3 of 6? Well, here together, 1/3 plus 1/3 is what? 2/3. And so how many do I have? 2, 3, 4. So 2/3 of 6 is equal to 4. Okay. Now what we need to think about is what we're doing is we're dividing 6 into 3 equal groups. Okay, and when we divide 6 into 3 equal groups, right, we are dividing 6 into 3 equal groups. We are actually doing that original problem, right? And that's why if we do this, that's why we get this split up into 3 equal groups, and each group is going to be 2, right? And if I have 2 of those groups, I'm going to have 4. 3 of those groups, I'm going to have 6, right? So that's really what we're doing, okay? So just to kind of clarify that, right? So in this one, we had 6 groups. Oops. 6 groups divided. We had 6 divided into 3 equal groups. There we go. And in this case, that was 2, right? And the other way that we can look at this is 6 over 3 is 2, right? There's that fraction again. And so that's what we're doing. So this of, going all the way back to the of is multiplication. That's exactly what we're doing. So there's a connection between division and multiplication. They're all kind of one in of itself once we start to understand. So when we look at this, all right, another way to look at 1/3 of 6 is actually 1/3 times 6. And really what we're doing is we're just replacing the 1 with the 6. Why is that? Because 6 times 1 is 6 over 3. Okay, so 1/3 of 6 is 6 over 3, which we know as 6 divided by 3, which is also 2. So if you don't understand the picture, this is another way that you can do it. That of is that right there. All right. Now, if we drew the picture, again, we'll go back to that picture. We have 6 parts. We want them split up into thirds. Okay, let me get a different color. So here's a third, here's a third, and here's a third. And we just have one of them. So what is that going to be? Well, we have 2 there. The answer is 2, which we reiterate is that right there. So see if you can break that apart. Couple other problems that you can try. We can do this. We can expand this further. I'm going to do one more for you. What happens if you take 1/4 of 12? Okay. Where do we start? Well, we should draw 12, right, into 4 groups. Okay, there they are. And I'm going to split them into fourths. Right, so here's a 4th, here's a 4th, here's a 4th, and here's a 4th. So my whole is 12, and I split them up into fourths, but now I just need 1/4 of it. So what's my answer? 3, right? Now again, if we take this 1/4 times 12, right, because of the of, it's 12 over 4, or 12 divided by 4. Which we know is 3. So again, our picture reiterates what we already know. Pretty cool.